what we know at this point. Protesters began gathering last night around a little bit after 10, and the city's police chief resigned yesterday evening in the wake of that scathing DOJ report that there had been a lot of pressure on him to do that. Now, that report cleared Officer Darren Wilson in the death of Michael Brown, but it still found that there was bias that existed in the police department there.
So then last night, what was a peaceful demonstration turned violent after police officers, they were the target.
We have seen in law enforcement that this is a very, very, very dangerous environment for the officers to work in. These police officers were standing there and they were shot just because they were police officers.
So then the suspect or suspects still at large this morning, and Garrett Tenney picks up our coverage from here in our Midwest Bureau. Those officers are in the hospital. How are they doing? What's their condition, Garrett?
Well, Bill, what we're hearing the latest is that they are in serious condition, but they are conscious and expected to survive. It was just after midnight as these protests appeared to be wrapping up for the night when at least 3 shots were fired at a group of officers standing in front of the Ferguson Police Department. One officer was hit in the shoulder, another was hit in the face. You can see investigators examining one of their helmets that's splattered with blood. The shots came from a dark, unlit side street that runs into the police department, which has made identifying the shooter or shooters difficult. And St. Louis County Police Chief John Belmar said this morning that the shooter appeared to have used the larger protest as cover. We are expecting to hear an update on the investigation as well as the status of those officers who were shot at the press conference this next hour.
As we await that, Garrett, are these the first officers hit with gunfire in Ferguson?
Yeah, that's what Chief Belmar said this morning, and he said, really, that is just amazing. You'll remember back in November after the grand jury's decision not to indict Officer Wilson, hundreds of gunshots were fired in the direction of officers on that night alone. And Chief Belmar said, as tense as the situation has been since August, it was only a matter of time before this happened.
And the night was fairly uneventful up until about midnight. At midnight, the crowd was starting to break up. In fact, several of the officers had left the area. And to the immediate northwest of the Ferguson Police Department, several shots were fired, at least 3, and 2 officers were struck.
Here's what we know about those 2 officers. One is from St. Louis County. He was the one who was shot in the shoulder. He's 41 years old and a 14-year veteran of law enforcement. The other who was shot in the face is from Webster Groves, which is a suburb of St. Louis. He's 32 years old and has served on the force for about 7 years. Again, we're told they are in serious but stable condition. And St. Louis County Police will be giving us that update here in the next hour. Bill.
Got it, Garrett. Thank you very much. Out of Chicago, Garrett Tenney leading our coverage on that. Here's Martha.